Okay, so a little progress update. Wiring is kind of there or thereabouts. There is a lot of wiring we've cut out. It still looks like there's quite a lot here, but if you look back on the previous picture when I started it, there is a lot less. This lot up here I've kept for the OBD plug, just so we can, if we have any running issues, we can plug it in. Fuse box is all wired in. Got 3 relays, fuel pump. I've got 2 for engine management. One of them switches the 2 ECUs. I've kept the immobilizer ECU because obviously I don't really want this thing stolen. So one of them is for that, the other one is for the engine management ECU, and then the other one powers the other fuses. So obviously I've got to tidy up the wiring. That's my job for today, just to neaten all of this up, get it all in there, maybe bolt the ECUs in. The alternator belt is now on, which, yeah, I've used the original bracket here. Obviously I've had to take the engine mount out, which, by the way, that engine mount is really heavy. I reckon it's probably a fifth of the entire weight of the engine. I know it's quite a lightweight engine anyway, but yeah, that engine mount is heavy. So if you're after lightweight, rip it out. It's 5 bolts. One of them's hidden behind the time rack cover, which is my other point actually. I've had to, because the original belt ran across the top of that engine mount, I couldn't get without trying to space all that forwards, which would have looked ugly. I've basically cut the front plastic cover out. It's not ideal. I will probably try and maybe I'll take all of this off and make a custom shiny aluminium case would be good, maybe. But for now, that'll do. It also runs a lot better. I've got the original exhaust on. If I come down here, you can see it kind of mounts up quite nicely there. Right, so if I put the ignition on, you can hear the ECU beeping, and I'll press the unlock button on the remote. That stops. It starts. Now the idle speed is still quite high, and turn it off. The idle speed is still quite high. And I think that's because it's not reading the coolant temperature properly. So again, once I've done all the wiring, I've got to plug in the OBD wiring, plug all that back in, and then I'll be able to plug our diagnostics in and just find out whether it is reading coolant temperature. So hopefully it's not, because that might be an easier fix. If it is, then I've got to figure out why the idle's so high. Maybe the idle control valve isn't, just checking it's plugged in, yes it is. Maybe it's not getting the right voltage or something, but hopefully I can sort that out easy enough. Cooling system, I don't think I showed you that before. That's all in. I got this hose. This is the block I bought on Amazon for, I think it was about £7 or £8. The thread for the sensor is different to the original thread, so I need to find out. I have found out what that is actually, and I bought an adapter so I can put the gauge for the car on the dashboard into there, because being a K series we don't want it to overheat. So then the next job will be the gear lever, which is, here we are. This is, as you can see, I'm using all of this for storage. So that goes there. Now, when you get in, that is not the right position. That's not really where you want the gear lever. So my plan, I'll have to take all this off, but just cut it down here somewhere, spin it around so it's there. Because I found that actually feels really good. Obviously, I have to change the gear lever. I want a original MG one on, which shouldn't be too hard to do. So I've got to do that, and I've got to put oil in the gearbox, and then might be able to drive it. Oh. So as you can see, most of the wiring is now wrapped up. The bit around the ECU still needs a bit of work. I've moved all the grounds to there. All apart from, right there, that one there is for the fuse box. So that's where the fuse box is going to live. It's much tighter. I need to put another relay in for the radiator fan when I get around to doing that. So other than that, the only other thing I've had is coolant temperature. Plugged it into diagnostics and it's reading oil temperature but not coolant temperature. I've checked the pin data on the ECU and it's definitely getting a feed where it should do to coolant temperature, so I need to look into that, but at the moment it's not too major of an issue. So the next thing I'm going to move on to now is modifying the gear lever. So I've taken the gear knob off the gator and the rubber boot, which I presume is some kind of sound insulation, and you can see there's a kink in here, so it will sit in the car like that way, and I need to make it that way. So I think the easiest thing to do will literally be to try and cut this off here as low as I can but still get weld on it, and then flip this around the other way and weld that up. So there we go. Let's grind the weld down a bit. But that, and I don't like the gear knob either, but if I get in there, that is absolutely perfect position for me. I'll hold the camera back there. So it'll be a little bit lower, like a short shifter. And obviously have the original MG gear knob on it. Let me show you. So start that. Immobiliser. Make sure it's in neutral. Rev counter works. And if you watch my wheel, clutch in, first gear. Oh, there you go, now the clutch is in, but there's first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So yeah, happy with that. Just got to drop the idle and take it for a spin. I did just notice in fifth gear there was a bit of a rumble, so I know the gearbox was very close to the transmission tunnel, so I'm probably going to have to modify that with a lever bar and a hammer. Probably easy, just modify the tunnel a little bit. But yeah. So I'll sort that, see if I can figure out what the idle is. I'm going to do some electrical testing. I just want to check the idle control valve. I pulled it out just now, put the ignition on, it didn't move. So I'm hoping that there is just a broken wire or a wire that I haven't connected properly. That's my thinking at the moment. So that's my next step. And then we'll go for a quick drive around the estate. Right, the high idle, turns out that that seems to be a leak from the inlet manifold gasket. So I had the manifold off, put some sealant around it, and I think it's better, not perfect, but I think it's good enough to go for a drive. So remember how to get it in reverse. There we go. Oh, there we go. A fully working K-series midget. Obviously there's still some bits and pieces left to do, tidy up that, mount the ECUs. I could consult my board for the other bits. Fluids are done, obviously I wouldn't have driven it if I hadn't done those. Rewire fuse box is done. So I've got radiator fan to do, lower the front springs, a little bit of welding, front grille, put oil in the rear shocks, just little bits and pieces. So, and sort the idle out. Still need to sort the idle out. I'm pretty sure it is the gasket. Putting a bit of sealant around has obviously helped. It's dropped the idle a little bit, but not enough. Shove the bonnet back on, and then we're all good to go, and we'll be out on the road. So I'll probably put that in one final video, and then yeah, we'll get some video clips on some nice driving roads, and then hopefully you'll see us at some shows with the Midget. Obviously, like the video, subscribe if you want to watch the rest of the videos. We've got a couple of exciting projects coming up, so would be quite beneficial for you if you want to subscribe, see more projects like this, but over a much shorter period of time. I was not expecting it to be best part of a year, but you know, other things get in the way. So I'll see you next time.